Today I get to do one of my very favorite things to do, review a wig that not only have I reviewed before, but that I actually love, have worn for a while, and I have a tip video showing you how I made this wig my own back when I first got her 2.5 years ago in this color right here. Let's talk about Ellen Wille Lia II. She is a favorite and worth being on your radar if you love a blunt cut bob. My name is Denise. I'm also known as Hey Wig Sister on Instagram and Facebook, and I am so proud to be here on behalf of Chiquel to bring you this review of Lia II. And you guys, they are really making it possible for me to do a lot for you, and I am so grateful to them and hope that you are also grateful and will show them some love by maybe shopping with them the next time you're in the market for a wig. They have a lot going on. They have 3 physical wig shops in Canada, 1 in the US in the Kansas City area, 1 coming to Dallas, I'm not sure when, but early 2026, and more to come. They just recently launched their online store in the UK, so now they're in Canada, the US, and the UK online. They have open box clearance section, they've got live sales every week, and they make a lot of reviews possible, so please check them out. I have a link in the description box and a coupon code that will save you money on, I think, any purchase really, so definitely put them on your list. Let's take a look at Lia II from all sides. I do love this one, I've got to tell you, and she is the great flat low density, no Permatease bob. Oh no, my dog, hold on. Like I said, Lia II is a gorgeous, low density, no Permatease, blunt cut bob. You can't get much more blunt cut than this. And she is a dream to wear. Really lightweight on the head and really, really easy, natural. And if you've struggled with wigs being too poofy or full, and that can really happen with any wig, but especially when you're brand new to wig wearing and you've been losing your hair for a while, this one could be a great one for that. I will say though, I find that she needs a little bit of customization, which I will share with you in a little bit when I kind of do my comparison with my 2.5-year-old one. And that shouldn't be a deal breaker, but I do like to tell you everything I can possibly think of so you can make a good purchasing decision. So we have got a lace front right there. Excellent, excellent on both of these. Really natural looking. And we have a left monofilament part. So on the parts on the left going over to the right part. It's really a skinny part. You aren't getting any flexibility out of where you're parting this one at all. It's pretty much where it is. We do have extended lace that goes ear tab to ear tab, soft ear tabs, soft extended nape, Velcro adjusters, and then the rest is open wefted. I'm gonna cinch these adjusters in just slightly, because even though Ellen Wille is a brand known for running more average petite, I find the circumference is usually more on the average side of things. It's the over the top and the ear to ear that I find run more average petite. So I have an average petite head. Right now, my circumference is somewhere around 21.5, and in case you didn't know, weight loss and weight gain can impact your circumference, and it has impacted mine in the past. I was 22 inches back when I weighed a lot more than I weigh now, and I could wear Ellen Wille just fine. So I would say 22 inches circumference is going to be fine. It's really the over the top. I am not getting any extra cap up here at all. And I don't get the best coverage on the sides. These ear tabs sit a little high on me for where I would need them for good coverage. And that's why I say I think where it runs small is the over the top. And so if you have substantially larger head measurements on your ear to ear and even your front to nape, then this is going to fit you small. If you have bio hair that you can blend, I think you can be a little bit bigger than me, but really you don't want to be a whole lot bigger than me over the top. You can be bigger on your circumference though and have this fit you, in my experience and opinion. I threw on my original Lia II. This one is in the color Coffeebrown Rooted, which is a gorgeous dark brown. And I want to talk with you a little bit about how I customized Lia to make her my own. So this one was much more of a face flopper than the brand new one that I just had on my head. That is something that can vary from piece to piece. The lace front is a hand-tied feature on a wig, and therefore there can be variation in how the hair sits, whether it's a face flopper or has a cowlick. Even within the color, if it's a heavily highlighted color, how much of the highlight was hand tied into that front section can change the look of a wig. So please note, wigs are generally considered a handmade item. Even on a basic cap, the production of wigs isn't such large scale, so there can be variation, but especially on the hand-tied features. I took this one and I plucked the part line because I find both of these to have somewhat of a densely knotted part, meaning there's a lot of hair on the top and you can't see down to that monofilament very well. And sometimes what happens when a part is densely knotted is it can create difficulty in getting it to lay on either side of that part line. And it can want to shift over, it can want to stand up, and I'm noticing the other one is doing that just a little bit, just like this one did. So I plucked the part, and I took my hot comb to get a little lift in the front and to smooth out to make sure that this laid really nice on one side or the other of the part. I also plucked the hairline a little bit. On this one, I recall that it was a little bit densely knotted. I think partly because this is such a dark color and you can't bleach synthetic knots, and so on super dark colors sometimes those knots are prominent even if they're made really small, and so I did a little plucking up here as well. And I like a little bit more of a sparse hairline, and so because I had such thin hair all my life, and so I tend to pluck those hairlines so they're a little bit more sparse looking. That's a preference, and not everybody agrees with that preference. So I'm just telling you what I did. You may not want to do any of those things, but I do have a video on this, and I'll make sure that video is linked below. And then I did trim that lace with the pinking shears as well, because I find Ellen Villa lace often shows up on my skin tone, and cutting it with the pinking shears eliminates that. I also have a video showing that. So I threw the brand new one on, and I want to show you what I mean. You can't really see down to that monofilament, and it sort of stands up in places along that part line because it's densely knotted. It is a little bit of a face flopper, although this one has much more of a cowlick right here. And so I don't know how much I would need to take heat to the front of this one, but I do think I would still pluck the part line to make it my own. So those are just some ideas for you, and also an encouragement that just because a wig isn't 100% perfect for you out of the box doesn't mean it can't be. And getting comfortable with the idea of tweaking your wigs a little bit, whether it's plucking a part line or adding lift to a wig or adding face framing layers, all of those things will make a huge difference in your journey, I promise. And learning those skills can take some time, but once you learn them, you've got it. Now, I think I mentioned that this is made with heat-friendly synthetic fibers. My preference, honestly, on wigs is heat-friendly synthetic when it comes to anything above shoulder length. I find that heat-friendly synthetic feel a lot more like human hair to me. They don't have a shine that regular synthetic can have, and of course the benefit of any synthetic, heat-friendly or otherwise, is the style is baked in. I could never achieve such a sleek, straight style with human hair. So I just think it's a great option to consider. Yes, heat-friendly fibers can sometimes need some special care, especially on the ends, especially on wigs that rub up on your clothing. I actually took heat to this one today for the first time because the ends were feeling a little frizzy and frayed, very tiny bit on the ends. And I used a hot air brush to smooth it out, and that was all that it took. I filmed that for social media. Eventually it'll be up as a short here on YouTube, but I have another video here on YouTube where I do that with straight up with a twist from Raquel Welch, which is a similar style, and I will make sure that's linked below. below. So don't shy away from heat-friendly fibers just because they may require a little special care. Usually it's very, very minimal on a piece this short, and straight will really only take a couple of passes with either a hot air brush, a flat iron, a hot comb, every now and then, and it really will only take you a couple of minutes. They're not hard to care for, and you can refresh these fibers over and over and over. So to me, it's worth it for the realism. Let's talk about this color, light Bernstein Rooted. The code on this one is 12.26.27. And I actually have a blog post at my website where I break down the color codes so you can know what a 12 is and what's a 26. I'll make sure that blog post is linked below, and you can go to the color index document that I created to learn all about the color codes. But this is basically a light auburn in my opinion, sort of a light brown, light auburn. There is some blonde in here. So we've got a 12, which is a light brown, the lightest brown actually on the color chart, and a 26 is this sort of honey blonde highlight. You can kind of see that right there. And then we have the 27, which is a light auburn, and I would say this is very much a light brownish auburn in my opinion. A little bit of reddish tones, and then we do have a root, so it is rooted. And what I really like is that this root is a warm sort of auburnish root, and it's very much a similar tone to the rest of the wig, and so it blends very, very well, and it doesn't look stark. It doesn't look like regrowth to me. And also, it doesn't look like you took brown hair and then made it auburn. I love it when they tonally match that root, and they did that here. This is such a gorgeous, warm color. It's a rich, honey auburn, light brown. It's super pretty. And then by contrast, you know, my Coffeebrown Rooted is a very dark brown. The codes on this one are 6.8.4. So a 4 is the darkest brown is a 2. So we've got the second to darkest brown in a 4, the third to darkest brown in a 6, and the kind of a medium brown in the 8. So this is a very chocolatey, rich, dark brown with some lighter brown highlights. And while it isn't red, it's very warm because it's very rich. And let me tell you guys, I did not start out with the ability to go from this color to this color at all. This was the color I gravitated toward in the beginning. This is the most similar to my bio hair. It's very close to my bio hair. And I worked my way up to being able to wear colors like this because I forced myself. And if I can do it, you can do it. So I just want to encourage you, depending on where you are on the journey, you can get wherever you'd like to be, changing your style, changing your color by just experiencing different things. All right, that's enough chatting. I hope you learned something in this video. Let's get outside so you can see this beautiful color outside. I'm not going to show you the other color outside because I do have a video on that one on YouTube all by itself. And if you have any questions, let me know because I certainly do have experience with this piece. Don't forget about Chiquel. Thank you very much to them, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, light Bernstein Rooted in the snowy tundra. Last week, no snow on the ground. This week, like 7 inches. It's also very chilly. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous style. There you go. Hey friends, thanks so much for watching. Here are a few videos I think you might enjoy. Go ahead and click on one and watch.